Okay, we'll start with order of operations here. So order of operations just tells us when we have a problem with multiple operations in the order in which we want to do it. We want everybody to be able to work the same problem and get the same answer, so it's important we have a set of rules for that. So a couple of terms you may have heard that help you remember this. The first one, just PEMDAS, which each letter stands for one of the steps in the order of operation. Or there's a sentence that commonly gets shared. It's "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." Again, same idea. Each letter in the first first letter in each word helps us remember that order of operations. Okay, so the P, or the please, right, stands for our first thing. Parentheses, and parentheses are just a specific type of grouping symbol. Just P's or parentheses is kind of the first one you learn, so we kind of use that terminology. But understand parentheses could be any grouping symbol. If you have more than one, or you have embedded parentheses, or you have parentheses inside parentheses, we always work inside out on those. Do what's on the inside first and then work to the out. Okay, so once you've taken care of any parentheses, okay, E, or excuse, is exponents, and we will touch on those here just in a little bit, but that would be your second thing. Okay, third thing, we'd work our multiplication and division, left to right. So you notice they're in the same line. One doesn't trump the other, one's not more important than the other. One doesn't always come first. It's just whatever comes first as you work left to right through the problem. So if multiplication comes before division, left to right, we do multiplication. If division comes first, left to right, we would do division. Okay, and then Aunt Sally, AS, okay, addition and subtraction, same idea there. You're going to work left to right on those. Again, if whatever one comes first, whether it's addition or subtraction, as you work left to right, that's the order in which we do those things. So PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, the order of operations. Parentheses are grouping symbols first, exponents second, multiplication and division, left to right, and then last step is always your addition or subtraction, left to right. All right, so let's talk exponents just a little bit. So a lot of things in math we come up with to help us with things that are repeated. Example, 3 plus 3 plus 3. Well, repeated addition, right? One of the ways you can represent that is with multiplication. 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 3 times 3, right? So exponents are similar in that they help with some repeated stuff, right? So if I have, for example, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? That's a little bit tedious writing that out. If you had 5 or 6 of them or 10 of them, right? That's a lot of writing out. So we came up with a shortcut, and that's exponents, okay? So we have the base number, which is 2, okay? And then the exponent just tells us how many of those bases are being multiplied together. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, so it would be 2 to the 4th power. Okay, one maybe misconception of that: it does not mean multiply 4 times. It means 2 or 4 2's multiplied together. Okay, 4 2's. Not if we look at the number multiplication signs, it's actually 3. Okay, but the base and the exponent tell us the exponent's how many of the bases we multiply together. Okay, one thing to be a little bit careful of is with negative numbers, and we won't get a ton of them right away, but as we progress here, so when we're dealing with negatives, give myself a little bit of space here. Okay, we have to be a little bit careful. Okay, if I do something like that, for example, okay, what that really means is that is negative 1 times 3 times 3. Okay, the exponent is only on the 3. We think of negative 3 as negative 1 times 3, and as we just saw with order of operations, exponents come before doing multiplying. Okay, so if we want to do a negative 3 squared, we got to make sure we put that in parentheses. Okay, so that stands for negative 3 times negative 3. So just something to be aware of, something to be a little bit careful of when you're dealing with exponents. Okay, if you were to put negative 3 squared on your calculator, right, you would get negative 9. If you put negative 3 in parentheses squared on your calculator, that would get positive because of the different meanings. All right, so let's look at a couple of example problems here. First one, let's do 18 plus 2 times 5 minus 2 squared. Okay. Now, if you're unfamiliar, a number next to parentheses like the 2 and the 5, that just means multiplication. Okay, as we progress through pre-algebra this year, we'll start eliminating those multiplication signs and use parentheses rather than a multiplication sign. Okay, so let's follow our order of operations here. So step 1, parentheses, right? So I'm looking at that, and I see that there's 5 minus 2 in parentheses, so I'm going to take care of that first, right? It's important when you're working through this that then you just rewrite your problem. Okay, these are not difficult problems, but there's a lot to keep track of, so we want to make sure that we're just going step by step through these. Okay, now I still have parentheses there, but it's just being used as a multiplication sign. There's no operation inside the parentheses anymore. I just have it there so it doesn't look like 23. Okay, so I've done parentheses, right? Next step, exponents. So my problem has a 3 squared. So I would go 18 plus 2, 3 squared is 9. So 2 times 9. Okay. So we've done parentheses, we've done exponents. Next step is multiplication and division, left to right. So I look, I've got an addition problem and I've got a multiplication problem. So my multiplication comes next. 2 times 9 is 18. And 18 plus 18 is 36. All right. You'll notice there's no equal signs anywhere. This is an expression. Okay. It's not an equation. Right? There's no equal signs in the original problem. We're just simply shortening it down, simplifying it, in this case down to a single number. Okay. We're going a step at a time, follow your order of operations. Let's look at another example. Okay, so let's say I start with 14 minus 7 plus 6 minus 3. Okay, this one tends to be a tricky one sometimes. It goes back to that idea of addition and subtraction left to right. So sometimes students will, again, think, because we use please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, right? The unfortunate thing there is the addition and subtraction occur in an order. You just have to remember we work left to right. So kind of a common mistake I'll see students make in this is first start with 7 plus 6 and get 13 because they think, well, addition has to come before subtraction. Okay, but again, we work left to right on these, left to right. So I start with the 14 minus 7. Okay, so I do subtraction. And then I've got left to right again. 7 plus 6 is 13. And then one last step, 13 minus 3 is 10, right? So I want subtraction, addition, subtraction. Again, we just want to work those left to right. Okay, let's do one more example here. One more example. Let's go 8 plus 4 divided by 2 squared times 3. So follow our order of operations. Okay, no parentheses. We don't have to worry about that. We have exponents, 2 squared. So let's start with that. 8 plus 4 divided by 4 times 3. So we've dealt with our exponents. Okay, multiplication and division. Again, we want to work left to right. We don't want to go 4 times 3 first. We want to start with our division. Okay, so 4 divided by 4 is 1. It's got 8 plus 1 times 3. Now we have addition and multiplication. Do your multiplication. And finally, you want to add. Okay, kind of a cool thing you'll notice as we've progressed through these, you kind of get this upside down triangle effect. Okay, or kind of a funnel. Right, so funnels are going to help you get these problems correct. They're going to keep track of your work. They're going to give you a visual that you're slowly kind of progressing and going step by step. And they're easy. If you make a mistake, like if I had done 4 times 3 and gotten 12, I could look back at my funnel and easily find my mistake. Whereas if we're not real organized, it's hard to do. So, and of course, boys and girls, what's the first 3 letters of funnel spell? Fun, right? Isn't math fun?